Hey guys, it's Caesar.
And I'm Carla. Welcome to another episode of Carla and Caesar's Modern Life.
And we have a special guest today, right?
Yes, my sister Alex.
Hey, welcome to the show.
Thank you. My name is Alex. I'm third wheeling hard. I love it.
Sitting in the middle of us.
Yes.
So yeah, you are a roommate and Carla's sister,
Yes.
of course.
Yeah,
You're
my oldest sister.
my friend as well.
Yeah.
And you're here. You're our first guest. How does it feel to be the first guest on the show?
Honored. It's so good.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for doing this.
Sorry if I cackle. It happens.
It's okay. We usually start with life updates, and you just did something really big, which is you went to Iceland, right?
I did. I was in Iceland for 10 days.
Yeah.
I was with my friend Arena and our friend Hannah, and it is amazing. I feel like everybody needs to experience it for themselves. It's hard to explain. It's beautiful. It's terrifying. The weather was crazy. Mm-hmm. We almost slipped off the road a couple times, but 10 out of 10 would do it again. We got to see the Northern Lights, and we got to see a lot of the waterfalls and like the scenic situation. There was a lot of hiking, which is not my jam already. I don't mind it, but then in snow that sometimes is knee deep, you're like, what the fuck am I doing here today?
Oh my god.
But it was amazing. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Did you feel like you had the right amount of clothes and gear?
Oh, for sure. I overpacked. I had heat tech, and I would just wear that, and then over that I would wear my snow clothes. No, it was fine. I didn't need an extra layer.
Yeah.
But I do run warm, so.
So what was the weather like? What temperature was it over there?
I think the lowest was the first night. We went out to see the Northern Lights, and we just kind of bolted out of the house because we're like, it's happening right now.
Yeah.
You're tracking it. Mm-hmm. And so then we were definitely underdressed for sure. Did not have enough layers. At one point, my hands hurt. They were so cold. But I think it was something like 8 degrees. And it was a first for me. Yeah.
Oh my
That's wild.
The wind hits you in the face and it hurts. It's crazy.
Oh,
but
no.
And then I think the highs were just like in the 30s.
Yeah,
it was like 30 something, and it was sunny. Yeah,
I hate being cold.
I was never cold
imagine.
except for that one night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For your first night?
Yeah.
Our last night was the coldest.
Oh, no way.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah? In
Yeah.
Italy?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
I personally thrive in like 60s, 70 tops.
Yeah.
Even 50s, I'm like, oh, this feels so good.
50s is too cold for me.
Yeah. What was something that you found that was like so different than the United States, like where you lived now?
I think it's just not as populated. It's crazy.
Yeah.
We drove around the entire country, so it was basically a road trip. And on the north part of the country, you would go days without seeing anybody or like another car. Even like the towns, they're not big. At one point, there wasn't a town. There was a farm renting a couple of cabins. And so we just stayed in a random farm. There wasn't like an actual town there or anything. So you do have to like pack food with you.
Yeah.
Because if you're stuck there and you didn't bring food, there's definitely nowhere to buy food.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that was
scary.
That was a little bit of something that obviously we could have gone, like, it was just that in Italy everything closed so early.
Yeah.
But it is weird to like, if you didn't get anything to eat, there's nothing that's open. And that's it.
Yeah.
When I
Maybe
was
go
in Italy,
ask your neighbor.
Yeah. Excuse me, farmer, if I could get a sandwich. I don't know. But I know, like, when I was in Italy, everything opened late. So, like, people were setting up for dinner at, like, 7 p.m.
Yeah.
8 p.m. Stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that the only reason it was because we went to Cinque Terre, which was when it was the off season. So there was, nobody there just in general.
Oh, that's kind of nice, though. I like that.
Cool,
It was still beautiful, yeah.
Oh, for sure.
So now that you went back, so you said you would go back. What are you planning on going next?
Next, I'm actually just going to Acapulco. I've never been. I'm going with our sister Cynthia and a friend. Her name is Liz. We're going just for a long weekend.
Yeah.
Because why not?
What about like on your list of like stuff that you want to visit like as soon as you can?
I do want to go to Colombia. I've been wanting to go to Cartagena for a while, and it just hasn't happened yet. I wanted to do it like 2020. No one got to do anything 2020. 2021, I was supposed to be in Japan. That obviously did not happen either.
Is there anything else? Did you want to tell us something from Iceland, like a story?
Oh my God. There was one day I posted on Instagram. I was like, on today's episode of Try Not to Die in Iceland, we get stuck in the snow. We get stuck in a bunch of like windy snowstorms. There's something called a whiteout, when you are just cannot see it is snowing, that wind is blowing so hard, the snow, that you can't see. I'm driving, I can barely see where I'm going. Like,
you're driving in this?
Yes. And at one point, I couldn't tell if the road went straight or if it curved. We're on a fucking mountain. There's, of course, no rail guards.
Oh my
Why
God.
would you put rail guards, Iceland?
Yeah.
And it's like, the wind is blowing so hard, mountain's coming down, or snow is coming down the mountain. So I can't just like plow through the mountain because we just got stuck and had to get pulled out by a tractor. And so I'm like, do I go around snow? Am I going to go off the cliff? What is happening right now? And then at one point I remember just saying, Erina, I'm scared. And I'm like, fuck it. I just went. And I kind of did go a little bit around the snow, but also a little bit into the snow. I don't know how we made it that night. I don't know.
Damn,
that's
that
scary.
was wild.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that was nuts. But I think that was the only day where I was like, actually, no, there was another day where I thought I was going to die.
Oh my God.
And Arena was driving, and my whole body was so tense. I literally started, like, after that experience was over, I was like, I need to dissociate for a second. And I just sat in the backseat and I knocked out. I just slept because I couldn't fucking deal anymore with that. Yeah. My whole body was just so tight and tense. And then when I finally relaxed, I just fell asleep.
Damn.
I was nuts. Do not go in February. Oh
my God. Jeez.
But yeah,
who would have thought you'd
to
have multiple near-death experiences?
Yeah, I thought I was going on vacation. and so then I would go again. I would want to see it in the spring. I think it would be amazing. Like the hikes are probably beautiful, like spring, summer. Yeah. I read somewhere that their summer is like max temp, something like 77 degrees, which is like
that's not bad.
I know.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Well, we're glad you made it back in one piece from Iceland.
Thanks.
That's it's fun though. Like it's one of those places where it wouldn't be the first thing that popped into my head, but it is like a really beautiful place.
It's
like,
gorgeous.
I've seen so many people go, and it's amazing.
You can tell too that it's like one of those places where like the pictures don't do it justice.
Not at all. Yeah. Not at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, thank you, Alex, for sharing your details about your trip. Next time you go to another thing, you gotta come back and let us know.
Yeah, for sure.
So here's something I want to talk about. Something that we can all kind of relate to is this post-vacation life. Carla, you're back, right? You're trying to look for a job still.
Yeah. So I hadn't started looking until I purposely waited until we got back to start looking.
Yeah.
And I guess like I knew it was going to be overwhelming, but I didn't realize like to what extent.
Yeah.
And it's like frustrating and like it's draining, but at the same time it's like exciting because it's like, oh my gosh, there's so many possibilities.
Yeah.
Like it's just tough where I guess the particular situation that I'm in is that I need to find a job to start paying my bills, but then in the long term I'm also like trying to figure out a career to do.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've narrowed it down to for sure one thing, but I'm open to still continue to explore other I guess what do you call it,
other opportunities.
Yeah, I'm excited about like the potential, but at the same time it's like I have to catch myself sometimes from like having like pessimistic thoughts like, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna get a job. But it's like, okay, calm down. Like I have to like bring myself back to like reality because my mind tends to go to like worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And I have to like remind myself like, well, if I'm gonna think that way, I also have to think best case scenario. And then I like try to balance it out when I catch it.
Yeah. And you helped me out with that thinking too lately.
Yeah.
Alex, what about you? When you came back from vacation, how did that feel going back to your job? You don't have to say anything bad about your workplace.
No. I'm going to go off. No, I took an extra day off, which really helped because I like having like my laundry done, my house clean, everything done before I have to go back to school. I mean, work. House
basically.
And so I got to do all that, and I actually got to chill. So when I got back, I was surprised that I didn't have 600 emails. I'm not gonna lie. I only had like 200 something, and so yeah, but it was like that's a breeze.
20 a day.
Yeah, and so the workload was totally fine, and it was just the jet lag. Was no joke. Around like after lunch, I was so sleepy, and then I would get home completely exhausted. So many times I fell asleep at like 6 p.m. And then I woke up in the middle of the night and I'm starving because it's lunchtime in Iceland. And then I would fall asleep again because I'd be like, not today, bitch. And I'd take a Tylenol PM and I'd fall back asleep and then I'd wake up at like 6 in the morning. So it took me a couple weeks to adjust and get back to normal. But
I feel like I'm just starting to feel like I'm back to normal the last couple days.
Yeah, same. Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to... That's why I kind of brought it up too, is because I'm trying to get back to normal, but it's so hard because it's like there's so many things you want to do in a single day, and then when you don't do them, you're just like, oh crap.
And we're about to have daylight, whatever.
Yeah. Oh, it's gonna be longer days at least.
Yeah, I do like that.
Because then we'll feel like it's late. Will feel like, oh man, it's pretty early, and you'll be like, oh wow, it's late. I'm staying up late now.
Which is what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
All right, so it's time to get into these scenarios, these problems that people have submitted to us or we found online. And Alex, you're going to help us out with these. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
All right, Carla, let's start us off with the first one.
Okay, so the first person asking the question is one of two women who work at this tech company. And whenever they have a recruiting event, she ends up getting voluntold to represent the company because they're trying to make it seem like they're diverse and they have women in tech. And she mentions that they have pamphlets where they have, it seems like it's a diverse work group, but she says that she admits that a lot of those people never even work there or don't work there anymore. So,
oh, wow. All right, so the scenario is, this is what she wrote. I was at a recruiting event at a local college and a young woman who was thinking of applying asked for how the diversity at the company was.
I answered honestly in front of a small group. Well, there are two women in technical roles, and as one of them, it sometimes feels like I'm working two jobs, one as an engineer and one as the token girl engineer who gets pulled away from work for every photo op or recruiting event. Honestly, if you like being a trailblazer and are prepared to take on the extra unspoken PR as the girl engineer, you might find a role here fulfilling, but if you prefer keeping your head down to focus on technical side, it is easier to do that at a company where there is more gender and racial diversity.
She appreciated my honesty, but the manager who was running the event told me to leave.
I feel like they're mad that I said the quiet part out loud at the recruiting event, but it was an honest answer to the question. I think they might think they're doing something positive, trying to outreach to a more diverse applicant pool, and maybe they see me as trying to interfere with that. Yeah. So she's asking if I do.
What do you think, Alex?
I love her. I love her. I think good for her for being honest, because it's gotta suck to be like, yeah, no, totally, this place is so rad, and then another woman gets there.
You can't even fake that anyway.
No,
you know?
It's like they're gonna get there and find out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So why are you upset? And she's told you she doesn't want to do it, and you're still making her do it. You can't be mad at her.
It just seems like they're trying extra hard to make the job harder for a woman to do it because they're making her do all this PR stuff and catch up on her work.
Yeah, if somebody was handling her work at the office, like some Larry back there, then who cares, right? Because she has all the time in the world to make things happen and make this place a better place. But it's not her job. She's not HR. She's not a recruiter. Yeah. She's an engineer. Let her do her job. Yeah. They asked for it.
You're interfering with her work.
Yeah.
Isn't there a thing where like there's people that are just the recruiters and they just like, why don't they just let them do that?
Exactly. Hire a woman recruiter.
If you want to be that fake,
that would be a shitty feeling to feel like you're the token.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like working in an office, I just fucking know people are back at the office talking shit about how she's never there because she is always at these things.
Yeah. So there's probably people that resent her for the fact that she has to do all these things, but she didn't want to do it.
Exactly.
That's wild.
Yeah, I mean, I would not usually advise people to just quit their jobs, but honestly, this girl, like, you're not the asshole and you need to leave because it's not going to get any easier.
It's not going to get better. These places are trash.
Yeah. Well, that was a good one. We're moving on to this one. I'll start with this one. So the person asking the question is a female who just turned 20. It was her birthday on the day, and she submitted the question, and she said nobody had acknowledged her birthday. I walked downstairs to my kitchen, and my mom was reading her newspaper, ignoring me completely. She even had some demands about cooking and cleaning, so my day had already started a little off. My dad and brother both ignored me as well. Normally, my dad wishes me at least a happy birthday, but today he just said nothing. My friends seemed to have forgotten as well, literally said nothing. My friend messaged me about some clothes, but nothing more. I just didn't feel special, as stupid as it sounds.
It was the same at work. My colleagues spoke about my birthday yesterday, and today nobody acknowledged it and said anything. I just felt so miserable and ignored. Before heading home after work, I bought myself a small cake just to treat myself and make it a little better.
Well, when I got home and ready to just have a dip, my whole family and friends and colleagues were there in my living room. They told me they had been all excited to surprise me, but I couldn't help myself but feel upset. They ignored me throughout the whole day, and now they want me to be happy and chatty. I just walked out. I walked back to my car, and now I am sitting in a McDonald's parking lot writing this. My job is being blown up. My phone is being blown up about being the asshole for walking out. I do feel kind of bad, but I just couldn't do it anymore.
Aww.
You know, I want to laugh, but that's fucked up.
Yeah.
You can't ignore a person all day and then have them be stoked on life when you're like, just kidding.
Yeah. It was just a funny situation to me that she felt so bad about it, but it makes sense that it made her feel like shit.
Upsetting,
Yeah.
for sure. That's never happened to me, and I hope that never happens.
I feel like that happened to me once, but I don't remember carrying this much. I'm not gonna lie. I think I was like 17, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Sounds familiar, but
Damn. There was a phase in my life where I couldn't figure out if your birthday was on the 15th or the 16th. So I'm
that
sorry.
that might have done it. No, it's okay. It's not that serious, but I don't know. I mean, I could see why she's upset. She's like her 20th birthday. It's a big deal. You're not like a teenager anymore.
That's true.
But like, fuck. Even if it's a surprise, like, tell her happy birthday and keep it pushing. Like, why do you have to ignore her?
Yeah, that's messed up.
It's like that video. I don't know if you guys seen it on like Instagram or TikTok. And this little girl, she's like trying to talk to her family, but her entire family pretends like she's invisible.
No.
Oh, shit.
And they literally convince her that she's not there, and she's just having this breakdown.
Oh no.
It is so fucked up. It's so sad. It was really sad. And it reminds me of that story, and I'm like, man.
That is pretty sad.
You didn't have to like make a big deal of her birthday. Just acknowledge that it's her birthday and say happy birthday.
Yeah.
She would probably be way more hyped at this end of the day situation in her living room.
Yeah, and you can't expect somebody to just like flip their attitude.
Be like, oh, you know? Okay. No, nobody's hyped at that point.
Exactly.
She's ready to call it a day. Everybody else fucked up.
Yeah, seriously.
I think so.
They took it too far.
Yeah.
You convinced me at first. I was like, nah, but then I was looking at it from the other people's perspective. Like they thought, like, oh, she's gonna be so surprised when we show up all at her house. But it's like you could have still said happy birthday.
Exactly.
You could have still said, oh, have a good day.
Especially because they had been talking about it the day before at work.
Yeah.
That's messed up.
All right, Carly, you want to start us off with this last one?
Yes. So the person asking the question is an emergency medical dispatcher. So when you call 911 with an emergency and need an ambulance, there's a chance the call will go to her. She enjoys her job. However, she mentions that her work hours are extremely unsociable, and sometimes she gets home at 4 a.m. On these days, she already has a whole routine set up where she'll go for a run as soon as she gets home before coming back to rest. Nothing abnormal had ever happened until recently when a new neighbor approached her.
So this is what she wrote from her perspective. During one of my recent jogs, I paused on my way out of the cul-de-sac on the pavement near her home, she's talking about her neighbor, to pick out a podcast on my phone, only to have her come out shouting at me about what am I doing near her home and how I better leave before she called the cops. I quickly apologized to her and explained that I am her neighbor and just out for a jog. She didn't believe me, so I went back to my door and unlocked it for her to see. After this, she stopped and retreated back into her home so I could continue my jog.
Except she was watching me the next time I jogged, and next and the next. Each time calling out vague threats about the police and how I shouldn't be out at this time, and how I was scaring her children always being out at this time. Now I admit I'd finally had enough of this and laughed at her because I'm a 5-foot tall woman who looks like a solid breeze would blow me over. I also told her to mind her own fucking business and how only she seems like the weirdo here, always watching me for a jog at this hour. I also told her if she called 911 to say hi to my coworkers for me.
It wasn't until my boyfriend suggested over our shared meal that day that maybe she had just had anxiety and seeing someone outside so early put her on edge and she was handling it poorly. I admit I feel guilty after that. I thought me jogging for an hour after my shift was harmless, but I'm used to being up at weird hours. Am I the asshole for jogging at this time? Would it freak you out if you saw one of your neighbors do this?
It would not freak me out.
No.
I'd just be like...
It's 5 a.m.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's not that weird.
Yeah, I feel like she's not the asshole because she was very patient with this woman. I would have lost my shit day one.
Yeah.
I feel like this lady. What are her children doing up at 4 in the morning? That they're so scared of a 5-foot woman jogging down the street.
So funny.
Lady, what are you doing up at 4 in the morning? I have some extra Tano PM from my trip if you would like some. I think that the neighbor's just being a Karen, and she needs to stand her ground and be like, this is not how we do things. This is life, and I do things when I can. And I don't owe her. Walk her to my house and unlock my door. Not on this planet.
No, yeah.
No.
That was like, she went out of her way to do that.
Just to
make
prove.
her
Like,
comfortable.
once you've done that, like, you've done enough.
And I feel like I can say after this pandemic, we all have anxiety, and none of us are being assholes out there.
Yeah.
Oh, to see what the neighbor's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense because it's like, how much noise is this neighbor making by like jogging past your house?
I sincerely doubt she's like blaring
At all.
sirens.
Yeah, that's so weird. I mean,
And it's like, if you really have that big of an issue, come talk to me like during the day.
Yeah.
yeah.
And like talk to me like a reasonable person, like who approaches people like this.
Yeah.
That's so weird. To
Threats?
come at people like
Ma'am?
this.
Threats? Get out of here.
And the fact that after she did that, she still was like doing the same shit. I mean, I guess we have to look at it. Maybe we're dealing with somebody that's mentally ill, but it's like, that's still not okay to do that. Like, even if they're mentally ill, just be like, hey, like, something's got to change because you can't be yelled at for doing nothing. Like, you know where I live, lady. Like, what am I going to do to you?
Be like, just call the cops, let them come, and like, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Because you're going to call eventually, or like, you're going to be scared up until you do. So why not just like, I'll save you a phone call. I'll call them myself. Can you just come here and talk to my neighbor? She's freaking out.
That's what, I was like, you should call the cops and be like, I'm getting harassed every day when I run.
Yeah. Or she could literally pop headphones in and ignore her. She doesn't have to interact with her.
That's true.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that at that point, because she did say like she listened to podcasts, so just don't even, just let her deal with it her own way, because you're not doing anything wrong.
Not the Karen.
Not the Karen for sure.
Well, all right, that was our third scenario. Thank you, Alex, for joining us on this episode.
Thank you guys for having me. This was fun.
Come back anytime. That's it. Did you want to talk about anything else?
No, I'm good.
All right, guys, remember to take care of yourself and each other.
Bye.
Bye.